All right, I'm super excited because Thanksgiving is coming up, so I have to read you a Thanksgiving story. And this is called Thanksgiving at the Tappletons. See that big old family? A lot of times people get together for Thanksgiving. And so we're going to start our book. Here are all the people. Thanksgiving at the Tappletons was always a big day. Thanksgiving at the Tappletons meant, of course, the Tappleton family. There's Mr. and Mrs. Tappleton, Jenny Tappleton, and Kenny Tappleton, and Grandmother and Grandfather Tappleton, and Aunt Hetty and Uncle Fritz, and most certainly, of course, the turkey and all the trimmings. Ooh, that does look yummy. It was still dark when Mrs. Tappleton lit the oven and took the big turkey out of the refrigerator. Just then, someone knocked on the kitchen door. It was Mike the milkman. "Good morning, Mrs. Tappleton. I thought you might like some eggnog." Mrs. Tappleton reached for the eggnog. The turkey slipped from underneath her arm. Now, on a warmer day, this might not have been a problem, but this was Thanksgiving Day. It was quite cold, and the step was covered with ice. What do you think is going to happen? Before she and Mike could even think, the turkey had slithered into the yard. It dropped. "Oh no, get it!" shouted Mrs. Tappleton. Mike reached out, but the turkey skidded past him, through the gate, and onto the street. "Hurry!" Mrs. Tappleton screamed. "Stop that turkey!" Oh no, the milkman chased the turkey. Mrs. Tappleton chased the milkman, and the turkey slid down into the pond. Plop! Splash! And it bubbled out of sight. Uh-oh. When Mr. Tappleton came down to breakfast, he took a long sniff. "I don't smell turkey," he said to his wife. Of course you don't smell turkey," she replied. "You have a cold." "I don't have a cold," he insisted. Achoo! Mrs. Tappleton took some pepper into the air, and her husband sneezed. Oh, she made him sneeze. "See, you do have a cold," she said. Oh, that's a little naughty. After breakfast, Mr. Tappleton put on his coat and scarf and hat and gloves. "I'm going to the bakery to buy our pies." Mrs. Tappleton handed him his boots. "Wear these," she said. "I know for a fact it is quite slippery out today." Sim's bakery was so crowded the line reached all the way out to the sidewalk. So Mr. Tappleton hated to wait in long lines, so he went in for a cup of hot chocolate. By the time he got back, the line was gone, and so were the pies. No pumpkin, no mince, no rhubarb, nothing. Oh, Mr. Tappleton was afraid to go home with nothing. "2 boxes tied up with string, please," he said. Mrs. Sims stared at him. "You mean 2 empty boxes?" "That's right." When he got home, Mrs. Tappleton remarked, "My, they feel light." "Oh, certainly they're light," retorted Mr. Tappleton. "Mrs. Sims prides herself on how light her pies are." Mrs. Tappleton set the table, and she called her son. "Kenny, you may make the salad. There's lettuce in the crisper and carrots and radishes." Kenny's face grew pale. Just yesterday, he had emptied the crisper and fed all the vegetables to the rabbits in Mr. Butterworth's class. How could he tell his mother? Oh, he couldn't. So he covered the empty salad bowl with aluminum foil and stuck it back in the fridge. Oh, that's going to be difficult when they go to eat. When the others went to pick up the relatives at the train station, Jenny stayed behind to make mashed potatoes. Every year this was her job, and she loved it. This year she thought, I'll make them even better. I'll use the blender. So she took those potatoes, look, the cooked potatoes with the butter and the milk and some salt, and she put them in the blender. Just as Jenny flicked on the switch, the phone rang. It was her best friend, Nora. If there was one thing Jenny loved to do better than mashed potatoes, it was talk. Jenny talked and talked and talked to Nora. And she might still be talking today had not a wet glump of something hit her in the back of the head. She turned to see what it was, and splat! Another glump hit her in the face. The blender was going wild. It was flying mashed potatoes everywhere. Oh, that's a horrible mess. Without even saying goodbye to Nora, Jenny hung up the phone, scrubbed her face, and wiped mashed potatoes from nearly everything in the kitchen. She finished just as the others came back. Uncle Fritz patted his stomach. I'm hungry, he said. Grandpa Templeton laughed. I'm as hungry as an elephant. Everyone sat down at the table. It was a Tappleton tradition for grandmother to say Thanksgiving prayer. As soon as the turkey is ready, she smiled. I'm as hungry as 2 elephants, said grandfather. Mr. Tappleton went to the oven. I'll carve the turkey now. He opened the oven. The turkey, it's gone! Mr. Tappleton searched on the table and under the table and in every kitchen cupboard. He looked into the sink and in the broom closet. I can't find the turkey anywhere. Mrs. Tappleton took a deep breath. She told him how their fine turkey had slipped out the door and down the steps and across the yard and through the gate and down the street and plop, splash into the pond. Oh, so much for the turkey, said Uncle Fritz, and his stomach rumbled a little louder. Never mind, said Aunt Hedda good-naturedly. We'll fill up on the trimmings. Oh, I'll get the salad, Jenny announced. Then grandmother can say the prayer. Jenny set the bowl on the table and peeled off the aluminum foil. Everyone stared at the salad that was not there. I fed the rabbits at school, confessed Kenny. Uncle Fritz looked downright gloomy. So much for the salad. His stomach rumbled again. I'm as hungry as 3 elephants, said grandfather. Kenny jumped up. Well, we'll have Jenny's mashed potatoes. He brought the pot from the kitchen and lifted the lid. I was on the phone, Jenny said meekly, and the blender went wild. Oh, so much for the potatoes. Uncle Fritz's stomach rumbled even more. I'm as hungry as 4 elephants, grandfather declared. Uh-oh. Wonder what they're going to eat. The turkey's gone, the salad's gone, the mashed potatoes are gone. The pies, cried Mrs. Tappleton. I'll get the pies. I'll say grace as soon as the pies are cut, grandmother said with a smile. Mrs. Tappleton brought in the boxes and set them down and untied the string. You brought home 2 empty boxes? She glared at Mr. Tappleton, who covered his ears. 5 elephants, groaned grandfather. Oh, the dining room was quiet. Everyone looked at the empty table. Uncle Fritz muttered something, but it could not be heard above his rumbling stomach. A tear rolled down Jenny's cheek. No Thanksgiving dinner. Nothing to say a prayer for, sighed Kenny. Grandmother smiled. Of course there's something. There's more to Thanksgiving than a turkey and trimmings. And then Grandmother Tapleton asked everyone to bow their heads and to hold hands around the dining room table. And this is the prayer she said. Turkeys come and turkeys go, and trimmings can be lost, we know, but we're together, and that's what matters, not what's served upon the platters. Amen. That was a wonderful prayer, said Aunt Hedda. Mrs. Tapleton jumped up. We have liverwurst and cheese in the refrigerator. I'll help fix the sandwiches, offered Mr. Tapleton. Jenny wiped her tear away. I'll get the pickles. And Kenny laughed. I'll open a jar of applesauce for dinner or dessert. And so the Tapletons had their Thanksgiving dinner after all. Uncle Fritz's stomach stopped rumbling. Grandfather Templeton ate enough liverwurst to feed 6 elephants. In fact, everyone had plenty to eat, but most of all, they had each other, which is really what it's about. It's getting together and being together as family because we love each other. And I love you.